Welcome to the 40th session on operating system and Linux. I'm Manibhushan D'Souza, and in today's class we are going to look at file access permission. In particular, we are going to look at a few of the commands like chmod, chown and chgrow. Also, we will see one of the interesting command dd. So let's first look at what is file access permission. We are all familiar with the Unix file systems and in particular Unix system. Like Unix, Linux treats everything as a file. So inside Linux, every hardware that you think of generally are considered to be a file. For example, your keyboard, maybe it may be a device for you, but internally Linux thinks it as a file. So when you type something from the keyboard, you are thinking that the Linux assumes that it is coming from the keyboard, but it is not. So Linux thinks that the input is coming from a file. Similarly, the output devices that you can think of, your terminal, that is treated as a Linux, as a file. So for a Linux, everything is a file. So whether you create your own files that you are familiar with, or whether there are some devices, for Linux everything is considered as a file. Okay. Now there are three types of files that the Linux distinguishes. One is the ordinary file, and the other one is the directory, and the third one is the special files. These are the device files. So the ordinary files is the file that you have created. So they can be the files like your image files, your audio files, your text files, a spreadsheet, database, or anything for that matter. So this consists of streams of data that are generally stored in the secondary storage device. When it comes to the directory, now the directory also stores some data, but it is not storing user data, but the data that directory stores are the information about the files, like the name of the files, the permission that are assigned to the file, and whether the file has when it was created and when it was modified. This kind of housekeeping information is placed inside a directory, and we are already familiar. So there is the other type of files, they are called as a special files. These are the files which are used by the devices. So whether it is a keyboard, whether it is your terminal, whether it is your process itself, so everything, it treats it as a file. So these files are called as special files. Now, when we think of files in Linux, the Linux, because we know that Linux is a multi-user operating system, so there must be some sort of permission that are assigned for a given file. Otherwise, what will happen is you create a file, somebody else is going to modify it or change the content, or somebody may delete the content, or somebody may view the content. So you don't want the unauthorized persons to manipulate your files. Because Linux is a multi-user operating system, there must be some sort of security, and the Linux provides a security by providing some access permission. So whenever you create a file, the file is associated with the three permission. This is true even for the directories also. These permissions are read, write, and execute. Generally, letter that is used with them is read, for R for read, W all in small case, W for write, and X for execute. Okay, so you can use the file either in the read mode. When you say read mode, you can read only the content of the file, you can't make changes to the file. When you say write mode, you can make changes to the file. Execute means if you are writing a program, you can execute it, you can execute the commands which are there inside that, or the instructions which are there in the file. So that becomes the executable file. All your program files, that you have written, compile, and once you compile it, you get this object file, then you link it, you get the executable. Those are the executable file. So if those files does not have the execute permission, you can't execute them. So in Linux, even for executing, you need to get a permission, and that is given by different modes for accessing the files. So a user can access the file only if the user is given the corresponding permission. Like if the user is given the read permission, they can only read the content of the file, they can't make the modification, nor they can execute that particular file. Now, to distinguish between the user, Linux has three different groups. Okay, this is for security purpose. Okay, so whenever you create a file, you can have I am the user, so I created it, so I am the user, and I have some of my friends, like all the students who are there in BSc, all of them are in the same group, so you belong to the BSc group. So then you say that group. Okay, you created a file, so you are the user, so who created it, and there is a group like your classmates, and there are all the others like BCom students may be there, BA students may be there, maybe your teachers may be there, all are others. So three categories are there: user, then you have the group are all your friends, or if you are working in a company, all of them who are there belonging to your department, or all of them who are working with you in the same project, they become the group. And others means all the rest of the world. So all the others means who are not connected to you but who can use it, so you don't trust them anymore. So user means you are the one sole person who has the right to do anything. The group means your friends or your project, or your if you're working in a company, your colleagues, your batchmates, all of them are group. Others means who are outside these two categories. No, they are not you nor your friends, they are outside world, so they become other. Okay, you can assign the permission. So when the file is created, actually administrator can say what type of permission it will inherit by default. Generally these permissions are set by the administrator, okay, to the user, but user have the ability to check whether what type of permissions they have. So if at all you want to know what permission the files that have, so you can use ls command. You know very well, ls is used to list the content, so you can use ls minus l to list the content of the file. L is for long listing. So when you long list it, it's going to give you the long format that includes the file name and all the permission, the date at which it is created, and so on and so forth. So it includes everything for that matter. Okay, so let me first show that thing and then I will come back to this slide. Let me go to my, I have the Mint with me, and I have a folder on my desktop called as BSc. I opened that folder for you just to have the glimpse of that folder. There are some files are there like cities, and there are some subfolders are there inside it. So these files are there. So I am in the desktop BSc. You can notice that desktop BSc, and I am also there in the same place in the command prompt. Now I can use ls command to list all the files. So when you just use ls command, it's going to just list the content. Okay, let me zoom in for you. So if I use ls minus l, let me click and try that, ls minus l, that this means long listing. So if I do it, you will notice that you are going to get, let me zoom out a bit. I will have to go to Windows to zoom it out. So this is how you are going to get the information about that thing. So you will notice that if you take any file for that matter, when it is created and so on and so forth. Now there are a lot of other informations which are available. I will be concentrating only on this set now. So I will be only concentrating on this set. So we will focus only on this set. And what is there written over here? If you notice carefully here, this consists of there is altogether 10 characters will be there. Some of them are shown, for example, some of them are shown here, some of them are not shown here. The one which is not there is marked as dash. So the first one is this part, the first part over here. So that's the first column. So what does that first column say is whether it is a directory. If you notice that third sem is a directory, okay, whether it is a directory, and you will notice that std is also a directory. If it is a directory, it's going to show it as a D. If it is an ordinary file, it's going to show it as a dash. So if you look at the picture over here, because you are familiar with the Windows, I'm just showing you that. So I'll just get it on here. You will notice that third sem, there is a folder called as third sem here, and you will notice that there is this third sem, and if I directly get it over here, the first letter says it is a directory. Directory is nothing but a folder. std, if I get it over here, the first letter over here is D, saying that it is a directory. Rest of them are all files. So for the files, you get the first letter as D. And then there are actually 9, so totally 10 were there. Then remaining 9 are the permission that you get. So the first 3 over here, after this, after the first column, the first 3 you can see read, write, execute, 3 are there. So dash means this permission is not available. So here read permission is there, write permission is there. So read permission is there, write permission is there, but execute permission is not there. Read is there, write is there, execute is also there. So this is the first 3 you can take, okay. So first 3 permission, this is for the user who has created that file. So this is for the user, okay. Again you have one more set of 3 letters are there. So let me zoom out and again let me get it. So again you have, let me get that pointer, okay. So this is first 3 is over. So the first 3 is over. Next 3 if you take it, so next 3 you notice that again read, write. If dash means this permission is not there, read, write, execute. These are the files for which these permissions are there. This is one file, this is the other file, and so on. So how I'm getting this list, if you are wondering, so look at here. This is the permission for the folder. This is the permission for a file called as friends text. If you notice over here, you will find a friends text. This file has that permission. Read, write permission is there, but X is, that means it doesn't have that permission. So for one file, for this file, what is the permission? For this file, what is the permission, and so on. So for every file, different types of permissions are there. Now let's look at the permission for the middle row over here. And what does the permission says is this 3 columns over here, these 3 letters. This is the permission for your group. Remember what is a group? This is what is the first one? First one says whether it is a file or a directory. So next 3 is for the user, so who started this one. The other 3 is for a group, and the last 3 you will notice here. The last 3 sets you will notice here, the last 3. I will try it one more time. So let me try it here. So the last one that you see here, the last thing over here, so last 3 letters, so last 3 letters over here, this is for others. So first 3 is for a user, next 3 is for a group, and the last 3 is for others. So everybody has a 3 permission. What is the 3 permission? Read, write, execute. So if the dash is there, means these 2 permission is not there. For this person only read permission is there, write and execution is not there. For here read is there, execute is there, write permission is not there. So dash means that permission is not set. So let's go back to the PowerPoint and quickly look at it. So the first you notice that the first column indicates whether it is a directory or file. The next 2, 3 and 4, these are the column numbers for the user. 5, 6, 7 is for the user group, and the 8, 9, 10 is for the others. So you have different permission. And what is the permission? R indicates it is a readable permission, W means writable permission, E means executable permission, dash means that permission is not there, so you don't have that permission. So for example, if you have a dash indicates it is a ordinary file, read, write, execute for the user, read, write permission for the group, and read permission for the others. So other two permissions are not given there. Okay, you can change the permission. If at all you want to change the permission, you can change the permission using chmod, that is change mod. Okay, the change mod command is used to set the file permission, change the file permission. So you can change it using either symbolic notation or using octal notation. So one among them you can do that. So in the symbolic notation, this is the command syntax for that. So let's look at that one. So you write chmod, then you specify the user symbol, or you can use the octal number also. Then let's look at that, use the symbol, and then you can say whether to set the permission or remove the permission. Okay, set or deny the permission. Then you can specify the access permission and the file name. So let's start with the first one, user symbol. So user symbol, U means user, G means group, and O means other. So you can have three symbols over here, either U, G or O, one among them. Then let's look at the set or remove permission, how to set or remove the permission. To set or remove permission, you have the next one. Plus means you can add the permission, R means you are removing the permission, equal means global permission, not global, the absolute permission. So what is the meaning of saying plus means you have assumed, so if you say plus, that permission is added, minus means that permission is removed, and equal means only this permission is set, all the others are removed. So only that permission will be there, all the other permission will be automatically removed. So then we have the symbol, the next one, again we are all familiar, read, R for read, W for write, X for execute. So let's look at a simple example over here. If you say U plus X, what is the meaning? U is the symbol for user, remember, G is the symbol for group, and O is the symbol for others. So user plus means you are adding the permission, so you are adding the permission, and X means, so three are there, read, write, execute, read, write and execute, three are there. So X means you have the execute permission. So what is the meaning of that? You are adding a execute permission to the user. What is the this particular thing says? G is for the group, you are adding execute permission for this file. So this file will have the execute file permission for that particular group. Okay, so you can add remove the permission for all of them. So here if you notice there you have the user, group and the others. So you have user, group, others, all of them. You are removing these many permission. What are the permission you are removing? Read, write, execute permission from all of them. So you just remove all the permission from all of them, so they don't have any permission to that. Okay, again if at all you want a combination of permission, like it is not one, you can always use more than one permission, but the permission must be separated by a comma. For example, you can specify here user, add, you are adding the permission, plus means add read permission for the, again you see there, then you have the comma indicating that next permission. Group, you are removing the execute permission, again the comma, then others, you are adding the read write permission. So you can have multiple options separated by a comma, and then you can set it in one shot, you can set all of them. Okay, let's look at one other example over here. So in this you have a user, group and others are set to the read permission. User, group and others are removed the write and execute permission. So you, in other words, you are setting only, so what is the meaning of that? You are giving this permission, you are giving this permission and removing the other two permission. In other words, you are absolutely giving read permission to everyone and you want to remove the remaining permission. If you want to do that, instead of writing this whole thing over here, you can just write this statement. So user, group, others equal, not plus, equal write. So what is the meaning of that is write permission will be there, other two permissions will be automatically removed. So equal means it assigns that permission and removes the remaining permission. Remember, when I set the read permission over here, if the file had already write permission, that permission will not be changed. Remember, I am just adding a new permission, but I am not touching the other permission. Only read permission is changed. Other permissions are not touched. With respect to this only I am talking about. Here what I am doing is I am adding one permission and removing the remaining permission. So only that permission will be there, other permission will be automatically removed. So let's look at them in action. I'm going to go to my command prompt and I'm going to just clear the clutter over here. So let's look at this one. I'm going to say ls minus l, and I think I have cities. I'm going to take only one file for easy understanding. I have taken this file. I'm going to look at the properties of that file. You are all familiar with that properties. If you look at the permission of that particular thing, this is what you get. What is the permission that you have? So just look at this permission and look at what it is there. The first letter here is dash, means it is a ordinary file. D means it is a directory. What permission does money has? Read and write permission. Do I have the read and permission? I am the owner, money is the owner, so read and write permission is there for money. Okay, what are the permission groups have? So groups have, it belongs to a group called money. Don't worry, don't get confused, there is also a group called as money. So I can create a BSC group, I can say create BCA group, but I have not done that thing because it is my personal machine and there is no point in creating groups inside my personal machine. So there is a group, just assume that there is a group called as money, and what is the permission that is given? Read and write. The last three, so this 3 is over, last 3 is so what is this one? Access for the others. So all the others have only read and write permission. So can I change, can I give execute permission to money? So I'm going to say chmod user is money plus execute permission is given, and what am I supposed to say? The file name is cities. Okay, so press enter and you notice that where is it, that thing gone? Okay, so I will try to refresh that. Let me first do it in the command prompt here. So I have read, write and execute permission. Okay, let me close this and let me, where is that properties gone? Okay, properties, let's see whether I get the permission properly set. Okay, I have the permission, the owner. Do I have that it is actually here there are only 2 permission it is showing. This particular GUI just shows the other 2 permission. The right one, okay, allow executing the file. So you will notice here it just says allow executing the file. It just shows that particular thing over here. there is no point in executing that, but anyhow it shows that somewhere here it just tries to show, but it is a bit confusing if you look at the GUI. But if I look at here, I have read, write, execute permission. So what did I do? I gave ex permission. Can I make this file as a read only file? So how do I do that thing? I'm going to say, go to my file, I'm going to remove from the user two permission. What are the two permission? I'm going to remove the read and execute permission from my file. So let me show you that thing first. So I have removed the read and write permission, execute permission from there, and no read. Okay, no read, it just say no read but write permission. Okay, no read, it just say it is not showing this particular GUI is not showing me the execute part over here. So it just allow execution, it just shows it over here, but that's a GUI issue. It's not that don't say that okay why sir it's not coming, that GUI is not showing like that. Okay, so but here you can get it. So I don't have this permission. Can I absolutely set the execute permission? So if I want to execute absolutely, if I want to set, say remember there is already a write permission is there. If I set let's go here, if I set execute permission, if I set execute permission plus X to the user, if I set the execute permission, see already write permission is there for the user. If I set it, what's going to happen? So I will don't worry about that GUI part now. I will just show it over here. It will take a lot of time for explaining the content over here. If you notice that the W was already there, I have set only X here. It's not going to touch that W. It's going to add only that X for the user. Again, it's, if some of you are getting, what about this, sir? This is not a user. This is a group. This is the others. I am not touching them. I am touching only the user. Okay, if I change this symbol to G or if I change this symbol to O, then these will also change. I will just show you that, but before that let me do this one. So if I make it as equal to R, what is the meaning of this equal R? Equal R means only read permission will be there, other two permission will go. Remember, when you add plus, what happens? Only that permission is added, other permissions will remain as it is. Whereas when you use the equal symbol, what happens is that permission, let me make it okay, only that permission is set. You notice there, other two permission will go. That's why it's called as absolute permission. Okay, so how do I set all the permission to me? So let me go here. How can I set all the permissions to me? So I will say plus read plus write plus execute permission to me. So I get them. Okay, now if you use the ls command, you notice I got all the permission. This is me, that is the user. Let's go here and let's clear it. Now what if I want to try the same trick with my group? Before I do that, let me ls this one. So look at the group over here. Group has read, write but no execute. So what if I want to give the execute permission to my group? So what am I supposed to do? I'm going to go here and I'm going to say for the group add execute permission. So I'm adding the execute permission, remove the read permission. So from the group, two things I'm doing: add the execute permission which is not there and remove the read permission from the group. So let's try that and let me use ls, and what you notice over here, from the group I removed the write permission. This is for the group, and I have added the execute permission. So that's for the group. Okay, so you can add or remove at one point. So again I can put one more thing, like I want to remove the execute permission. Now what if I put plus x again? So some of you may be thinking, okay, what x permission is already there. If you notice, x permission is already there for the group. What if I again put the x permission? Will it negate? The answer is no. If the permission is already there and if you again set it, it's not going to set it again. At the same time, if the permission is not there again, if you remove the permission, it will not remove it. It's already removed. Okay, if it is already set, you can't set it. So that's simple as that. Again, you can set everything. So let's say, let me go over here, and what's the thing I can do over here is user group others, read, write, execute. Look at here. So I'm setting everybody is given equal priority. So in that case, what is going to happen? Everybody gets everything. Remember, don't be so generous to give all the permission to everybody. You may end up in much bigger trouble if you start giving permissions to the others. Just because you know how to set the permission, don't set the permission, because what you said, the person I don't know, others means anybody around the world, can do all the things that I can do. So that it may be dangerous, okay. In my case it is not dangerous because nobody else is going to use my machine. So that's simple as that. It's my desktop and I'm going to use it. So in that case it may not matter much, but in reality don't try to do that thing. So this is how you set the permission. This is one way of doing it. This is using symbols. You can also do that using octal representation. You know, octal means 3-digit representation. So the first digit represents the permission, the second digit represents the group and the permission to the user, second permission to the group, and the third one permission to the others. So 3 different letters are being used. So you have the numbers being assigned to them. So octal number representation is there. Octal, don't get to octal means 7, 8. Octal means maximum 7 will be there. So you just look at the permission. So what we have there is I'm going to draw it here and I'm going to mark that permission. Okay, here. So what is the permission you have? Read. What is the other permission you have? Write. What is the other permission you have? Execute. You have. Okay, so this is a 2 to the power. Okay, only 3 symbols will be there. Octal means, you know, 2 to the power 3 is octal. So only 3 bits will be there. 2 to the power 0. So next one is 2 to the power 1. Next one it is 2 to the power 2. What is 2 to the power 2? 2 to the power 2 is 4. You are all familiar. 2 to the power 2, 1 is 2. What is 2 to the power 0? Is 1 not 0? It is 1. Okay. If all the bits are 0, so this is 0, this is 0, this is 0. What is the end result? What you see in your answer script, that's the same number, you get it 0. 0 means you don't have any permission. If it is first bit is set, what is the meaning of saying first bit is set? 0, 0, 1. What is the decimal equivalent of it? Is 1 itself. So if it is 1, you get the execute permission. Remember, you get execute permission. If it is 0, 1, 0. So if it is 0, 1, 0, the middle bit is set. There are 3 bits are there. First and the last one is the middle bit is set. If the middle bit is set, what is it? 2 to the power 1. What is the value of it? 2 to the power 1. Decimal equivalent is 2. What is the permission you get? Is the right permission. If the last bit is set, that is 0, 1, 0, 0. What is the answer you get? This is 2 to the power 2. What is the 2 to the power 2? Decimal equivalent of it is 4. If it is 4, what permission you get is this. Now go for the combination. So if the first bit is 0 and the other 2 bits are set, what is the value? 2 to the power 0 is 1, 2 to the power 1, so the second one is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. What is the meaning of it? If the value is 3, what is the meaning? Write and execute. You get the permission, write and execute. Hope you get that thing. So the next one is if you have 101. What is 101? 2 to the power 0 is 1. 2 to the power 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So if it is 4 plus 1 is 5. So what permission you get? Read and execute. What if first two bits are set and your last bit is 0? So in that case, what is it? 2 to the power 2, 2 to the power 1 is 2, 2 to the power 2 is 4. So 2 plus 4 plus 2 is 6. So these two are set. What is these two? Read and execute. So you get it. What if all of them are set? 1 1 1 means what is the answer? 2 to the power 0 is 1, 2 to the power 1 is 2, and 2 to the power 2 is 4. 4 plus 2 plus 1 is 7. If you set it as 7, you get all the numbers. So you can have 3 options over there. So what is the maximum value you can have? You can either you can have 7, that is the maximum for the user, 7 for the group, 7 for the others. There are 3 types of users are there. Owner, that is user, then you have a group, then you have a others. So you can set any number over there. So what if you set the value 5 5. So very interesting number. Now smoking is very injurious to health, so don't try that. 5 means what is the value? What is a 5, by the way? 5 means what is 5? 2 to the power 2 plus 2 to the power 0. Read write permission. Read write permission for whom? User, group and others. Hope you get that thing. So 3 digits are added, but octal numbers are being added. So let's look at this one without reading. Can you specify what is the meaning of this? 740. So chmod, remember that's the same command. You write the number 740 to this file. So this file is given 740 permission. What is the meaning? 7 means read, write, execute. What is 4 means? 4 means, look at this one, read, write, execute. 2 to the power 2. So what is the permission? Okay, read. So group will get read permission. 0 means there is no permission. Others will not get any permission. Hope you get the idea how it is being done. So let me quickly show you one of the example. So chmod, okay, 0 0 0 0 to my cities. What's it? Can you guess what did I do? So what did I do? I removed all the permission. Okay, chmod 77. You can do anything, any possible value. So because you are not there, 765. What is the permission? You check and tell me. Don't just say okay, he is going to get it now. Try whether you can get it. What is 765? 7 means all for the user. 6 means execute permission is gone. 5 means you lost which permission? The write permission from the group. Okay, so you can set it any way you want it. You can always set the permission. Let's go ahead and let's complete the PowerPoint session now. So in the next one, see, whenever I create a file, I am the owner. So it's a general idea. Creator is owner. Whoever creates a file, he becomes the owner. It's a general idea. So you know very well what file you create, you must be the owner and you are responsible. Sometimes we would like to give the ownership to the others. Okay, if I want to give the ownership to the others, you can do that by specifying chown. Chown followed by the to whom you want to give the ownership. Now in my case, I am the only unfortunate person who has logged into Linux. So there are no other thing because it's my desktop that I'm using. So I have not created 100 users. But if you create a user, you can definitely give the ownership to the other. So how do you do it? chown, give the name of the other person and give the ownership. I try to do it, but I will get an error. But still, I'll just set chown. Okay, let me say I have Mahesh with me. Let's assume Mahesh is the user, like how Mani is the user, and I'm going to give the permission cities to that. And it just says that Mahesh is not there. I only logged on here, I don't have the thing. I think I created student. If I remember, I created student. If I say that, okay, again student is also not there, sorry about that. So I don't have any other user. This is a username to whom you are giving. It's your friend's name. You give the ownership to them. I think can I give it to root? So let's say I will try to give it to the root must be there. Okay, changing ownership city operation is okay. Okay, I don't have the permission. Okay, that's it. The other thing, the bad thing that has happened to me is I don't have the permission. So that's it. So changing ownership of a city operation is not permitted. Okay, I try to give the ownership to the other, and the Linux said you yourself don't have the permission now. Now don't try to give the file. See, it's like if I don't own the file, I can I give it to the others? So the Linux simply says that you yourself don't have the permission. How can you give the permission to the others when you are not the owner of it? It's as simple as that. But I hope you get the idea. You can always give the permission. The similar to this, you can also change the group. Suppose somebody who was there with you in BSc has gone to BCom. What you can do? You can change the group to BCom. So simple as that. Okay. How do you change it? CH group. Change group. CHGRP to change the group ownership. So if like if somebody has come to BSc from other college, so what you will do, you will add them to your group, is it not? How do you do that? Change group, that simple as that. Again, change group, how do you say that? So you say change group, name the groups like BCA. They are you are one BSc student, let's say, jumped to the BCA. Let's say it happened. Okay, it may not happen, but it happened. So you say that you change the group to BCA, give the file permission, it will be changed to the other group. Now as of now I can't show it because I don't have the group with me, nor I have the other user there. So let's look at one other interesting and dangerous command. I said dangerous command because before you try all the options in this dd command, please read the manual for that. Okay, so let me first tell you that one, and don't then call me at late night and tell me that I did something. So man dd, so this has a lot of options over here. Okay, a lot of options are there. So read a bit, and maybe you google a bit, and then try to do something with the partition. You can always do something with the files, but don't try to, it can be done with the partition also, and if you are not very careful, you may end up in creating a blunder, and then don't call me at night. Okay, so let's look at this one. So I warned you before trying this. This is a very simple command, but if it is not used properly, it may backfire on you. So that's what I want to say. So this dd command, what it does is it copies one file to the other, but you can also copy one full partition to the other, and when it is copying, you can change the content. You can convert the content of this file into other format. Okay, so that's the idea that it is using. So you can copy one file to the other file, but you can make the changes into it. In the same way, you can fully copy one partition to the other side, but you can then change the partition. After that you will cry if you are not read the manual. Okay, but you can do that. So let's look at what this command will do. dd is a very simple one. Then you specify what is the input file, then you specify what is the output file, then you specify what type of conversion that you want to perform. Now only few conversions are being shown over here, and that is L case and U case. L case is lowercase, U case is uppercase. If you have it in the EBCDIC format, that is extended binary coded decimal interchange code, you have studied it in your first year, and you know very well. If you want to convert that EBCDIC into ASCII, you can do it, or if you want to convert from ASCII to EBCDIC, you can do that thing. Okay, so you can do this, but if at all you want to try it, please try it with the file, and be very extremely sure that you have not given the partition rather than the file name. All of them will appear like a file. Remember that. The first thing I started today is I told you that Linux treats everything like a file. Even the partition it will treat like a file, and if you are not very careful, you will end up in creating something very interesting one. So let's me, after that warning, let me give you what this command can do in a very simple way. So I have this cities. Okay. Oh, I gave the right. See, the problem is I gave it the execute permission. So it now says that you have wrong permission. So that's why. So let me open the other file. I don't want you to suffer because of my mistake. So what did I do? I changed the permission actually. Okay. So if you look at this ls minus l, that ls minus l, not for this one, just clear it. Ls minus l for this cities file. This file actually has a execute permission. That is why it just says you gave the execute permission. No, now should I execute it on the terminal? So interesting, is it not? Let's not bother about that. So I have another file called as myc, something I used. Myc is the file name, myc.txt. So I'm going to use dd. Input file is myc.txt. Okay, that's a file name. Did I give myc.txt? Okay, that's a file name. Oops, txt. Output file is cmyc.txt. You can give any name. Okay, convert into ucase. What is ucase? Uppercase. Convert it into uppercase. If I try this, it's going to say that okay, I created 01 record and record copied and so on and so forth. So what it did, it took the myfile.c, converted into cmyfile.txt. If I look at my command over here, myfile.txt is here, and at the bottom, if you scroll it a bit, at the somewhere I must see. What is the name I gave? Okay, cmyc. Okay, that's a file name I gave. If I open this one, you notice that everything is in capitals. What about myc.txt? First letter was capital, remaining was small case. What about this one? Everything it's converted into my case. I can also do the same thing. I can convert it. So let me say I'm going to say c. That is this. Which one? This file. I'll take this capital file cmyc into lmyc. I'm going to make it as cmyc. Now the mouse is not going to click, will not work. So lmyc I'm going to say, and I'm going to say into lowercase. Only I'm only trying that lowercase. So again it's going to say something to me, and I'm going to open that file for you just to see that lmyc, and you notice that lmyc again. I'm sorry about that. So if you are not able to see it on your video, so this is all in small case. The first one all was in uppercase, and this was the original file. This was the original file, and what did I do? Took the original file and converted it into uppercase, and when I did that, where is this one? When I did that, everything I got it in capitals, and then I converted into lowercase, and everything became a lowercase. So this is what you can do with this simple command. But again, let me tell you, that's a very important thing. Let me clear it and let me man on dd. So when you man on dd, there are a lot of things it just says. Okay, so these are like IBM ASCII format, block. There is something unblock, there is something swap, sync, and so on and so forth. So try not to venture into all those things unless and otherwise you read the instruction. I'm not saying that don't try that. You are free, you are a student, you must have that eager to study the things, but don't try with half the knowledge. It is much dangerous. In this particular command, it may be a bit dangerous if you try to venture the other options which are available with this command. So with that, this is the example I gave you, some small case to capital with the conversion and lowercase. Okay, with that, I will come to an end of this session. Thank you for your interest. And again, if you are really interested in knowing more about it, please read a book on Linux, A Practical Approach by B. Mahmoud Ibrahim. Thank you for your interest.